Hey, welcome back to another live session. Just getting started here on continuing this painting with all things Australia. In this one, we have a rainbow finch here, and then this is a kind of exotic fruit. Well, exotic for me as a Canadian anyway. This is a kind of a fruit called a quandong, found in Australia, only in Australia. So the reason I'm painting in this kind of Australian themed painting is that this painting itself is going to be living in Australia. It's going to be going to the 19 Karen Gallery. It's one of the galleries that represents me. And so I am doing an Australian themed painting here. All of the plants and animals and everything in this painting are native to Australia. Please excuse my voice. I am just getting over a cold. So I'm still suffering from some congestion, but definitely on the mend. So I'm just kind of roughing in the colors here. This is, I don't know, what is this, a 4? It's a 6. This is a 6 angled brush. Yeah, just kind of nothing particularly amazing about this brush. It's just it's large enough that I can't be tempted into painting a lot of details at this point. So I have to just keep things general, and then I'll end up painting the details afterwards. So yeah, hello everyone, welcome back. Yeah, so I have a number of reds that I'm using here. This red that I'm putting on this quandong right now is a really bright, not bright, I shouldn't say bright, I should say highly chromatic. It's a very vibrant red called Cadmium Red. And it's very opaque with a high level of, it's high tinting power. This cadmium. Cadmium is a metal, actually. It has to be mined. And because of that, titanium paints, they're typically found in the warm colors like red and orange and yellow. Can be a little bit pricey, but it does last a long time. So it can be worth it. So I'm just going to put some of these basic colors down, and then I'll put some details in afterwards. I will, after I finish painting these quandong fruits, then I will go to, I think I'm going to do the finch after this. So that'll be nice. Abby's asking, how do you make a clear distinction between two objects if you're using the same color or similar? Yeah, so the answer is you don't. You have to kind of create a distinction between them. So what I'm going to do is once I figure out what color I want this one, the one that's in front, then I'm going to put a little bit of darker color on top of that one just behind. So I'm going to create a false distinction. And then same thing with this one down here. I'm going to make that a little darker. Basically the rule is something that's dark will go behind, something that's lighter will come forward. So, but I'm not going to do any of those manipulations yet. I'm going to wait until I get the basic colors down first. It's you can't get into the smaller details too soon, even if they're tempting. You can't do that, otherwise you'll end up being really inefficient with timing. But yeah, generally it's either with value is how you do it. Either one is value, so something's lighter or something's darker. The other way will be saturation. Saturation is how much color, is in it, how vibrant is it. There are 3 dimensions to color. There's hue, which is what you would call the name of the color: orange, yellow, red, etc. That's hue. And then there's value. Value is how light or dark is it if you imagine the color as a gray. And then after value is chroma. And with chroma, it's what is the measure of its saturation? How different is it from gray? Yes, yeah, I'm Adam. I'm still congested. I feel okay, but I certainly feel a lot better than I sound. That's for sure. So I'm on a flight tomorrow, actually, but I had to get a doctor's note to say that I don't have COVID. I went and got a COVID test, and I'm clear of COVID. That's good. The good news, but I do need that doctor's note to be able to get on a plane, because congestion, I guess, is the big one. But I sound sick. You can't have any symptoms that may be like COVID in order to get on a plane. So I had to get the COVID test. But that's fine. They're a lot easier now than they used to be. Very accessible. I'm just dropping in some of these darker reds. I have basic cadmium red, and then I also have alizarin crimson, which is red adjacent. It's red family, and then I have black to shade and titanium white to tint. I'm using those sparingly because whenever you add black or white, it really does bring down the chroma, the saturation, and I want to keep my saturation fairly high on these. Thank you for the rose. Is it true the shadow of red is almost black? No, I wouldn't say black. So the red itself, if you could imagine a scale where 1 is white and 10 is black, red itself is about a 5. It's a pretty middle gray. And so the shadow will depend on the intensity of the light. You can't just automatically go to a 9 or 10 when you're dealing with a red. So you have to think about what kind of light is it are you dealing with. You know, is it interior light, exterior light? What's the intensity of the light, and so on. So the shadow could be anything. Let's say your red is a 5. The shadow could be anything from a 6 right down to a 9. It wouldn't be black. That would be the 10. But really anything. And then the other thing you have to watch out for is you could add black, but you want to make sure that you don't make it too cool, because black is a cool color. Black's a cool color because it's 50% cyan, which is blues and greens, which is those are cool colors. So whereas red itself is a warm color. And whenever you mix warms and cools, you desaturate your colors, and that's a problem. J Latina, thank you very much. Elabese, thank you. Yeah, so I'm adding a little bit of pink to these fruits as well. These are Guangdong fruits. These are fruits that are native to Australia. So this will be my last painting session for 2021. I'm working on a couple of new projects in the meantime, also doing some ideation for some other projects. just to tell you what I have going on right now in my art space, in my career. So current shows I have two shows currently running. One in Montreal, Canada, and that is an exhibition of oil paintings. And that's a solo show at Gallery Une, which they got really good news the other week. They were voted the best gallery in the city of Montreal by Time Out magazine. So that was really nice for them. Yeah, I have a solo exhibition on at Gallery Une right now through January 29th. And then I also have a show on in New York City right now at Treat Gallery, and that is a show of digital photographs. And that's holiday blues and hues, I think they're calling it. So those are the two things I have going on in terms of exhibitions. And then some other things I'm going to be working on is that I have been asked to do a piece for a Kids Help Phone charity in, I think it's in March. I participated last year. It's a charity auction put on by the Bank of Montreal to help the Kids Help Phone, which is a helpline for youth in distress, whether it's youth that are maybe on the street or going through emotional hardship of some kind. So we were able to raise quite a lot of money last year with the Bank of Montreal, and we're going to be doing that again this year. So that's in the spring. I have to develop a piece for that. And then I also have an art fair that I've been asked to go to join the Affordable Art Fair in the spring of next year. I have to produce a series for. So I have to think about what that's going to be. Not quite sure yet. Yeah, and then I also have these two pieces. I might do the third piece as well that are going to go to that Australian gallery. So that's it. Lots on the go. Oh, and I also have a digital project that I'm working on, a series of NFTs that I'm going to be releasing toward late winter, early spring. So I shall keep you updated on all of those, all of that goings on. Let me see. Why do I paint on a black background? Yeah, good question. Thank you, Kirsty Graves. So I use black gesso instead of white gesso because white affects your perception of value when you're trying to judge the values of colors, like how gray they are, basically. When you're trying to judge that, if you have a white background you're painting on, the white can affect your value judgments, which is not a good thing. So in academic painting, you're meant to put a mid-tone down, usually of umber or burnt sienna. I kind of skip that step of going white gesso and then umber. I go directly to a dark gesso. Now this is technically called black gesso, but as you can see, it's not really black. It's just a dark gray. So when I have this down as my base, it's much easier for me to judge the value judgments, how gray my colors are. Hello. What artist inspires me? I have so many artists that inspire me, but I tend not to be inspired by style. I tend to be inspired more by their color choice or maybe concept and sometimes work ethic. I have a number of different artists that inspire me. Thank you for the finger heart, Jax. So contemporary artists that I really enjoy seeing, never don't enjoy seeing Jen Mann from Toronto, Keita Morimoto, Aaron Laree, London-based artist Andrew Salgado. He's actually a Saskatchewan artist. Zachary Logan is incredible. Those are all kind of artists, maybe 40 years old or younger. In terms of really established kind of blue chip artists, really like Francis Bacon and Lucian Freud and Jenny Saville. And just talking about the art and not about the person. I really like Chuck Close. I know that he's had quite a lot of his reputation destroyed by his out of studio antics. I guess is a generous way to put it. He has recently passed, so we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, fantastic artist and really quite an inspiration to me when I was younger. I'm just getting the basic reds and pinks and alizarin down, and then I'm going to come back into this area with some more details. Hello, South Africa. Thank you for joining. Your voice is calming. Oh, thank you so much. I'm really quite congested right now, so I really don't sound myself at all, but thank you anyway for that compliment. Your daughter drew some Santa Claus. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's some of those. I try to make those drawing tutorials accessible for different levels. I know that there are a lot of people who are either maybe younger or new to art who would appreciate tutorials that are perhaps a little more simplistic, and then there are other people who maybe have been drawing for a while, and so they would like a bit of more of an advanced tutorial. So I try to kind of mix them up, but hopefully you are able to find one that suits you or your daughter's particular needs, whether they are more advanced or maybe more basic. So trying to give a decent variety when it comes to those drawing tutorials. Oh, thanks so much for the candy cane. And Eva, Stephanie, thank you for sharing. By the way, I don't always remember to look at the chat, so if you do happen to ask a question about art or the art world or being colorblind or anything, if you ask a question and I haven't answered it, please do ask it again. I will try to answer questions that are about art and that are respectful. I do try to answer all of them, so it's not like I have seen it and I have chosen not to answer it. I do try to answer everything, so don't be afraid to ask it again, and I will hopefully get to it. I just don't always remember to look at the chat. I get too focused on the painting. So, I haven't talked about the paint yet. This is an oil painting, and I'm primarily using Michael Harding oil paints. This is a brand out of the United Kingdom. I think his offices are in London, but he manufactures in Wales. Very good oil paint. They have just the pigment and the binder, which is refined linseed oil in this case, but with no fillers, so no chalk or talc or calcium carbonate. So I'm using in this case I'm using the Cadmium Red. I'm using this alizarin crimson, and I'm using this curious color called Brilliant Pink. And then, of course, titanium white for the tints. which I'll be adding in just a moment with all of the details that I'm about to put in here. Okay, I'm now going to start adding some details into these ones here. Just going to start with titanium white. I'm going to mix it a little bit with that pink, that brilliant pink that we were working with a little bit earlier. And there's no particular rhyme or reason why I might add, well, other than the direction of light is coming just a little bit off center, but from the left, like down like that. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind when I'm lighting these. But I'm adding these in sort of spots or dots, and that's going to simulate a texture. That's what we're going for right now. Just adding a little bit of texture. SLVADXR, how did you find your style? What's a thing you always enjoyed to paint? Yeah, thank you for those questions. Yeah, so finding your style is kind of, it's always an unusual question for me, because I almost feel like, on one hand, I definitely have a style because I can recognize one of my paintings when I see it. But on the other hand, I feel like my style is always changing and evolving. And so it's more of a journey than a destination sort of approach. So whatever my style is, it changes with every painting that I do. But that change is so incremental that you can't quite notice it from one painting to the next. But from number 1 to number 20, you'll certainly notice a difference. Yeah, so I don't really know how to answer the question, how did you find it? Because it's just always being found. It's always changing. It's always evolving. But yeah, so I guess that's how I found it. As I painted a lot, and I'm not done. It's every painting I make. There's something else that I learn about painting itself. So yeah, I imagine that 20 paintings from now, my style will be a little bit different, and 200 paintings from now, it'll be a lot different. And that's kind of the great thing about painting. You can look forward to never getting bored, that constant developing. And what's something I always enjoy painting? I always enjoy painting still lifes, flowers particularly, but yeah, all kinds of still lifes. I like grapes. I like painting grapes a lot. I like painting people. I like painting faces, but I don't do that very much anymore. I used to paint only portraits. But yeah, I think flowers is something that I always enjoy. Everything I paint, I enjoy painting, though. I don't really paint anything anymore that I don't enjoy painting. Just want to knock this area back a bit. It's coming forward too much. Yeah. Hello, welcome to the live. So this will be the last live of the year. If there are some people here that have not been on one of my lives before, you'll know that, you won't know that I sell prints now through my online store. There's a link in my bio, in my TikTok bio, and I sell prints of my paintings. And I have over 40 of them now in my online shop. If you're interested in getting any of my art on your walls for relatively accessible pricing, then let me direct you to those prints. They start at $25. Most of them are 40 or 25. There are a couple of them that are 60, but those are really big. But yeah, they're mostly $25. If you're interested, please do check it out. I'd be happy to sell you a print. Could I say hi, Mikey? Yeah, how you doing, Mikey? Art for Life 64. Yeah, you can have a shout out too. Thanks for being a huge fan. I appreciate you being here. So I'm going to add some more details to these ones now. And this is just titanium white mixed with that pink, brilliant pink that we were doing. And sort of, these are a kind of fruit called a kwandong, but it really reminds me of when I painted those peppers, those ghost peppers. Kind of have that same quality about them, of that strong cadmium red, and then this really vibrant shine, really drastic difference in the texture. I'll try to depict it here. Thank you. Do I deliver my prints to countries like Israel? Thanks for the question, Alice. I don't actually ship my prints. I have a fulfillment. I have a supplier who does the fulfillment, but I think they do. I think they do have. I think I've that available. I mean, you can try. I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of countries. I don't think there are many countries it doesn't ship to, but you never know. But yeah, thank you though for thinking about it. What style of painting am I going for? I guess technically it's called realism, and that means that it looks realistic from a certain distance, but then when you get close enough, it just becomes a painting. So it's not hyperrealism, and it's not photorealism. It's just called realism. You're gonna give me a hug. Your family passed away. Sorry to hear that. That's awful news during the holidays. I am sorry for your loss. It's awful news anytime, but it's especially awful during the holidays. Oh, thanks so much for the shares, Art for Life. Appreciate that. You like the art tutorials? Nice, I'm glad you're enjoying them. Natural talent. Yeah, thank you. I also practice a lot. Oh, thank you, Adam. I'm just very happy to see that the prints arrived. They do go a long way, so it's always good to hear that they make it safely. Thank you so much again for checking those out and ordering them. I really appreciate all the support you've shown me these last few months. Sorry about you not being able to see your daughter. Maninder Gill. It's sad. Any tips for lefties? I don't know if there's anything different that you would do as a lefty when you're painting. I don't think there's anything unusual or remarkable that I paint as a right-handed painter. I mean, it's not like that. It's not like those are weighted. There's, yeah, just there's no specific tip that I would give to a lefty. Just carry on. Yeah. Business as usual. Yeah, sorry to hear your family members passed away. Oh, you're a lefty too, Adam. Yeah, they do. It's putting that dot in the eye. I think makes it look like they're a little cheeky, especially that magpie. I think when I get back, I am going to paint some peppers. The textures that I'm painting here really remind me of that. So I'm going to go with something a little bit darker, just in between here. And then there's some green stems here, but I'm just going to go some of these details lined up here. Make it a little bit darker. And that's going to separate those. You don't want to go for black. You always want to mix it with red. I'm going to keep my even my darkest colors a little bit warm. Going to be a lot of people asking for drawing and painting sets at Christmas time. It's always a very exciting time of the year for art. I always feel like art is one of those things that people put on their list as something that they want to do once they get around to getting some time. And then they don't make time, and that's the thing. When you say you don't have time, you have to try to make it somewhere. If your responsibilities don't take up too much of your time, but sometimes they do. Thanks so much. I like pasta. Thank you. What's my least favorite art tool to use? Probably the palette knife. Not a fan of the palette knife. Unless I'm doing impasto. In that case it's essential, but otherwise, yeah, I don't like using it. I don't like using it for mixing. Don't like using the palette knife. I'd much rather do my mixing right here on the canvas. Adding some reflected light in here. Okay, yeah, bye-bye. Thank you for joining. Thanks for stopping by. All right, I'm gonna get some green now. Something fairly light, I'm thinking, like a bright green lake. Yeah, this will be nice. Bright green lake, another Michael Harding product. This kind of has it's almost like a lime green, maybe something like cadmium green with a little bit of cadmium yellow in it, but some titanium white as well. It's not quite as chromatic as the cadmiums, but decent. Very decent. Your issue is in shading. Any tips? Yeah. So I think the best tip I ever got for shading was that under normal lighting conditions, obviously light is the big issue, right? But under normal lighting conditions, the shade, so okay, before I say what I'm about to say, I have to make two different distinctions. There's something called a cast shadow and something called a core shadow. Okay, let's look at this piece of fruit here. The core shadow is the shadow on the piece of fruit that is caused because that side is not in direct sunlight. So if the sunlight's coming this way, there'll be a shadow on the piece of fruit down here. Okay, that's called the core shadow. The cast shadow of that piece of fruit would be over here somewhere, and it's the shadow that is cast from the object. Like this piece of fruit casts this shadow on the table. Okay, so the shadow of the core shadow, so the shadow of the on the object, not that's being cast, but the shadow on the object, is no more than 4 steps darker than the object. And on 4, when I say 4, I mean from 1 to 10. 1 being white and 10 being black. If it's a 3, the shadow can be a 6 or a 7, but it's usually 3 or 4 darker. So if it's a 2, your shadow is not going to be an 8. Your shadow is going to be a 5 or a 6. So yeah, keep that in mind. Your shadow should only be 3 or 4 steps darker on a 1 to 10 scale. And that's for the core shadow, not for the cast shadow. And again, that's just in normal lighting conditions, where you can have dim light, you can have very bright lights. Everything can change. So, like, you just have to do a lot of observation. There's no one rule that you can follow to get it all right in every case. Painting just doesn't work that way, and you know that's part of the fun of it. Any airbrush videos? No, I don't. I've never tried airbrush. I really would love to try it, but no, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to be doing the bird next. We're almost done with these guandongs, and then we're going right up to that finch, which is going to be really cool. It's got so many colors in it. It's got a yellow stomach, or whatever it's called, chest, ventral side, I should say. I don't know if they call that the stomach, but the lower ventral portion is yellow. The upper ventral portion is kind of a blue. And the wings are green. The tail, I don't know, maybe like a teal. And then some red on the face. It's going to be really cool. Where did I buy my paint? Yeah, thank you. Amazing, thank you. Where do I buy my paint? Yeah, so I get my paint in a couple of different places. I live in Canada, and my preferred paint is a paint called Michael Harding, which is out of the UK, and it's really hard to get in Canada. There are 2 places in Canada you can get it, and they're both in Toronto, which is good because I'm close enough to Toronto that it's not that much of a deal. But Gwartzman's on Spadina and College in Toronto, and then also you can get it at a place in the Junction in Toronto called Articulations. But those are the only 2 places you can get Michael Harding oil paint. Other than that, I get Old Holland oil paints from Curry's, and also a Toronto chain, and then I get Gamblin from Dessert, which is I think they started in Montreal, but they're all over Ontario now too. And then on occasion I have gotten paint from the United States. I've just ordered it. I've ordered it directly from Gamblin, which is in Oregon in the United States. And that's because this one time they were doing a limited edition set that I really wanted to get my hands on, appeal to the collector in me. And then I've also ordered, there are a couple of really big art warehouses in the States. There's one called Dick Blick's, another called Jerry's Artorama. And I've ordered paints from them as well. So, yeah, lots of different places. Is it a goldfinch? No, it's not a goldfinch. It looks a lot like a goldfinch. It is a finch. It's a rainbow finch. So it's native to Australia. Who's your favorite artist? Oh, such a hard one. Probably right now, based on not just his art, but also who he is as a person. He's such a nice guy. He's a good guy, and his fantastic art is a Saskatchewan artist, where I'm from, in Western Canada. And his name is Zachary, with an I, Logan. He does mostly drawing, but he also does some ceramics, and he's written a book of poetry and so on. Yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. He went to the University of Saskatchewan for art school, but he's very accomplished. Like he shows with London, he shows with New York. He probably has 6 or 7 exhibitions per year. He has his work in the National Gallery, etc. Like he's a big deal, and he's not even 40. But he's a really good guy too. Yeah, Zachary Logan. How long have I been doing art? I've been drawing since I was a kid. I've always done drawing. I started with comic books, or even before that I was drawing, but I really started drawing obsessively when I started collecting comics around 10 or 11 years old. And then, but I didn't start painting until I went to university. And then I stopped for many years, and I started again 6 years ago. Let's leave that area for now and turn our attention to this finch, because I do have the cadmium red that I was using for this fruit. Yeah, this is going to be red here. Plug my phone in first. Okay, something like that. What's your least favorite thing to do in art? The cleanup isn't that good. I can do without that. That's why I tend not to clean my brushes too much. But in terms of the making of the art, I don't really have a thing that I don't like doing. I really enjoy all the steps. I think that's because I had other jobs. I did other things before I came to art. So now as an artist, I'm just so grateful for the whole thing. I don't have There's no part of it I don't really like. It's just the cleanup, but that's not really the making of the art. I'm going to put a base of red down here, and then I'm going to make it a little bit darker underneath where the eye is. Oh, thank you. Am I planning on finishing today? No. No, a painting like this will take me a couple of weeks to do. I like taking my time when it comes to painting. I think that there's so many things in the rest of the world that are so quick, fast-paced, instant. And there's a lot of instant gratification and fast food and fast fashion, and there's always a demand for speeding things up and having them quicker, faster. So painting is, for me, is the exception. This is an opportunity to slow things down. Oh, thanks so much, Glasmo. Appreciate that. Every time I go live, will I use a board like this? Yeah, pretty much, unless I'm using a really big painting. I think I usually paint on board when it's 24 inches or smaller. As soon as it gets bigger than that, it's canvas for me. Just because it's easier to ship a large painting by rolling it up. But I do prefer board because they're smoother. I don't have to gesso it 3 or 4 or 5 times to take all the texture off. How long have I been working on this piece? 3 or 4 sessions, I think. And I'm not really keeping track, but a session's about 2 to 4 hours. So yeah, I don't know. Minimum, let's say between 6 and 12 hours so far. I have no idea. I've been, I started it and then I was doing other things and then I got sick for a little while. I mean, you can still hear that I'm still congested, but yeah, I don't know. Can't wait to watch you finish it. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to be going back to the place I grew up for my Christmas holidays, but when I get back, I'll be doing a lot of lives to finish this one, and then also to finish my Bank of Montreal Kids Help Phone charity. I have to paint that painting. I'll paint that one live as well. I'm going to go with Cadmium Orange now. This is also a Michael Harding product. What should you draw? Why don't you draw your hand? What do you use to outline? I use a colored pencil. So it looks like this. I have light gray. This is a 10% gray, but I have 0, which is white. 0% gray is white. Yeah, this is a Prismacolor Premier color pencil. I also have Faber Castell, but I like using a high quality art pencil because it doesn't smudge. You know, it won't smudge off, and then that means it won't go into my paint. But it, yeah, it's really good. I don't have to use fixative to have it stick there. It won't smudge. Yeah, so color pencil on top of the black gesso. That's my standard. I've been doing that for quite a while. All right. The top of this bird's head is a different plane. So I have to signal that with a change in the color. When it comes to painting, you show meaning through difference. So the top of the head is like that, and then it rolls over and goes down like that way. So in order to show that change, I have to make a difference, and the difference is going to be in color and value. I'm just going to drag that cadmium orange down a little bit more. I'm not going to blend it in a lot. And what that's going to do is it's going to imply very small feathers. And just dot those around. And a couple of by the way, if you don't want to paint on a black background, if you want to paint on a white background, you can just use a 50% gray. That's 50%. Or you could just use a black color pencil. You know, there's a 90% gray. So you can draw. They're all the same. It's Prismacolor Premier. There it is. Prismacolor Premier. And these are really great for doing black and white drawings too, because you can get the black, which is 100%, and then you get 90, 70, 50, 30, 20, 10, 0. 0 is white. These are really great. You thought the red stuff at the bottom was real? Thank you. Yeah, this it's painted. Yeah. How was my exhibition in Montreal? Yeah, it was really great. Thank you. It's still running until the end of January, so if you're in that area, please do check it out. It's in Old Montreal. You got a really nice new gallery space. What do I mean with value? Value is one of the 3 dimensions of color. Value is what some people call tone, which is technically incorrect. Value, it refers to any color when you view that color as an achromatic gray. So if you think about the color, imagine taking a photograph of that color, let's say red, and then with a color editor, like you know how you can edit your photos. Let's say you put a black and white filter on your photo. What gray would the black and white filter make that? Probably mid-gray, like 50% gray, right? But purple, it would be a darker gray, and yellow would be a lighter gray. So when you talk about value, you're talking about what kind of gray would the color be if it had no color in it. That's the value. Some people call it tone, but the reason why they call it tone is that when you tone something, that means that you add gray. But that's technically incorrect to call value tone. Will I be live tomorrow? No, I won't be live tomorrow. I will be traveling tomorrow. This will be my last live for the new year, until the new year. In the new year, I'll be going live, resuming my regular schedule, which was something like 3 or 4 times a week. But no, this will be the last live until 2022, and then we're gonna finish this up. Okay, so what we're gonna go with now for the eye is a really nice light blue, and I'm gonna go with one of my personal favorites. This is the King's Blue, the King's Blue Deep. Really love this blue. You can see by the color, there's just a ton of white in it, but that's fine. It really does come off as quite a bright blue. So this is a blue made with aluminum and sulfur. Anyway, lots of oh yeah, it says here. There's lots of titanium dioxide. That's white, titanium white, and zinc oxide is another substance that's used to make a different kind of white, a transparent white. Titanium is opaque, and zinc is transparent. But you don't need to know that kind of stuff. But that's just if you paint for long enough, you start paying attention to these little details and so on. Anyway, the King's Blue is a good one. I recommend that as one of your blues. Don't use it as your first blue. If you're only going to have one blue, you get this one. This is the Ultramarine Blue. This is one of the few warm blues. It's a little closer to purple than it is to green, but a fine blue nonetheless. And it is transparent. But this is the blue of kings, as they say. This is the royal blue. This is the blue going back to Egypt and the Byzantine Empire. Many empires have coveted this blue. The Venetians in the 14 and 1500s coveted this blue. I actually have some of it here. This is lapis lazuli, mined in the Sang mountain range in Afghanistan. One of the 2 places in the whole world you can get this rock. The other place has just been discovered about 100 years ago in Chile. But up until 100 years ago, there was one place in the world that offered this, and it made this amazing blue. It was so rare, in fact, so expensive. It was worth more than gold at the time, lapis lazuli. And Venetian merchants would pay to have crazy amounts of blue put into their portraits. Now, if you walk through any of the major museums in the world, the Met, the Louvre, the Prado, and so on, you see these robes. Usually it's either Jesus or the Virgin Mary in these bright blue robes in these museums. And that's a blue that's been painted with lapis lazuli. And it's basically these Venetian merchants flexing how much money they have, that they can afford to spend so much of it on blue, on lapis blue. Anyway, that's a little story. Of course, the blue that I showed you just now, this one, this is synthetic lapis. This is not real lapis. Real lapis is available, but I prefer this one. It's brighter. And that's because with real lapis lazuli, the particles can only be ground down to 20 microns, whereas with synthetic ultramarine blue, the particles go all the way down to 1 micron thick. It's pretty incredible. Would I say this is hyperrealism? No. No, this is neither hyperrealism or nor is it photorealism. This is just called realism. What type of bird am I painting? This is a rainbow finch. This is a bird native to Australia. Yeah, so I'll just tell you guys the difference between hyperrealism, photorealism, and then realism. Okay, so this is realism, and with realism, it looks realish at a certain distance. Like right now, this is 18 inches. It looks realish, right? But then as soon as you get close, it just falls apart. It just looks like brush strokes, right? It's just abstract. So that's realism. With photorealism, it looks like the thing no matter how close you are, because there's just that much detail in it. And then with hyperrealism, you're painting something to appear to be more real than reality. So typically, hyperrealism is done in a photorealistic style, but there are other considerations and changes. I'll give you an example. So imagine you see a photograph and there's something in the foreground that's really crisp and detailed, and everything behind it, because of the field of view, is all blurry. Have you seen that before? So in the background it's all blurry, and in the foreground it's really crispy. So because of the field of view difference. Well, that's how our eyes work as well. When you're looking at something really, really close to your eye focuses, the lens of your eye, right? It focuses on that thing that's up close, and everything else. Look what my phone just did. Look at my painting, how it blurred out. That's what our eyes do naturally. Okay. With hyperrealism, you might see something like my finger is hyper-realistically painted and the background is too. Neither one of them is blurred. So that's more real than reality. It's not how we would perceive it. But typically hyperrealism is painted in that photorealistic style. And then the other really, really big difference, I would say, between photorealism and realism is that with photorealism, the object is to take the artist out of the painting. You're not supposed to know who did it. It's just supposed to look like the thing. There's no room for a personal touch. That's actually part of the thing you're supposed to get rid of. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm just scrolling back, see if I've missed any questions. Graham Guide, hello. Adam, are some/all of the names of the colors brand specific? Apologies if daft question. No. The answer is no. Not all. Yes, some are though. I guess the answer is yes to that. So, a name like Cadmium Orange, not brand specific. So a lot of the names are just what is the thing made out of, and what's the hue. So this is the metal that makes that color. In that case, they're both called cadmium orange. No problem there. And most colors are like that. Ultramarine violet, etc. There are some colors that are specific to the brand. Let me see if I can find one for you. Yeah, so here's a really great example of that. This is Old Holland Blue Violet, made by Old Holland, unsurprisingly. So one way you can tell, even if they put a different name on here, you can tell because on the side, this is the universal color classification. These colors here are independent of the manufacturer, whether it's Old Holland or Michael Harding or Gamblin or Winsor Newton, it doesn't matter. These colors, this is the Universal Color Index. PV23 is PV23 no matter what. That's pigment violet, number 23. That's the 23rd violet. And here's a pigment blue, number 15. So this color, Old Holland Blue Violet, happens to be made up of dioxazine special, which is a purple, well, violet. It looks like this. It's dioxazine. This is Gamblin's dioxazine purple. So if I look here, you see here, PV23. Okay, that's PV23. And then what they've done is they've mixed in some, it's hard to read here, but this is phthalocyanine, which is used to make blues and greens. In this case, it's the blue. Phthalocyanine blue, that's PV number 15 for that particular blend. Now, they don't tell you how much of each, and that's their whole trade secret. This is the KFC 11 herbs and spices kind of element. You get to know the spices, but you don't get to know how much of each. But yeah, that's how that system works. What brushes do I use? How often do I clean? I use cheap or inexpensive brushes, I should say. I use these brushes that are, you know, like 15 brushes for 20 bucks, kind of a brush. These ones happen to be Meeden. And this was a small brush set that I got off of Amazon. And then the other brushes I use are these ones. These are called, I think, Royal and Langnickel. And again, these are like 10 brushes for 15 bucks or 15 brushes for 20 bucks. They're basically the cheapest brushes I can get that don't shed hairs. They're all synthetic brushes, and that's just an artifact from when I was a painting student. I didn't spend any of my money on brushes. I spent all my money on pigment instead. So I just kind of stuck with that. And how often do I clean? I don't. I'll wipe my brush or run it through some linseed. Just dip it in the linseed oil, and then wipe it on a rag, and that's kind of it. I really don't do a thorough cleaning. Are those pomegranates? No, they're the same color as pomegranates and very similar in shape, but they're much smaller. They're only about this big. And it's a fruit native to Australia called Kwandong, Quandong, Kwandong. And they have, you can see, quite a large seed, like a lychee or lychee. So a single large seed inside. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with there. Type of bird, it's a rainbow finch. So I think that's it for all the questions in the chat. If I've missed any of your questions, please do type them out again. I often get caught up painting, and it's really easy for me to miss. Do I have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do. Same username, Mark Liam Smith. Please do check it out. I have that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. All of it's the same username, Mark Liam Smith. Thank you for checking that out and subbing. Toronto Dan, thank you for the explanation. Excellent explanation. Thank you very much. I'm just outside Toronto in beautiful Oakville, Ontario. Just moved here 6 months ago. I was right in the heart of the action, right on King Street. I lived right on King Street, King and Bathurst. And my studio was on King and Spadina. Thanks for all your help. I'm from Iraq. Welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm gonna go with the beak next. So I'm just gonna go white for the beak, and then maybe some, I don't know, orange or something like that. Something along those lines. It's hard to think about finch beaks without thinking about Darwin. You know, when you first come across Darwin and learn about those first voyages on the HMS Beagle, and him exploring all of those finches in Galapagos. all of the different shaped beaks that he observed to help him put together that theory of natural selection. Yeah, not pomegranates, but easily mistaken for pomegranates. These are Kwandong. These are same color and almost the same shape as pomegranates, a little bit smaller, and then the inside's very different. There's just that single seed, like we see here, whereas pomegranates have quite a complicated internal structure. I did paint a pomegranate, a couple of pomegranates, in fact, for my last show, which is currently being exhibited in Montreal. I painted pomegranates and some saffron together with a Persian teapot. Yeah, exactly. Avocado plus pomegranate. It's like or lychee or lychee. I never know how to say lychee. Called Kwandong. Hope you and all my Canadian friends are doing okay up there. Yeah, we're doing great. Thank you. It's snowing today where I am, but hey, it's December in Canada. Par for the course. And once I finish this beak, I'll move on to the back of the head. It's going to be greens, I think. I really like the coloring on this Finch, because a lot of the colors are complementary to each other. So you have the red and the green here, and then here you're going to have like a bluey purple, but then an orange here. So yeah, it'll be fun to see how how those colors play off each other. What type of paint am I using? This is oil painting. Yeah. With acrylic paint, I always found that it dried too quickly for me. I always had to put that slow dry medium in, but then I was trying to get it to basically do things that it wasn't designed to do. And I always preferred the longer drying time so that I could take my time blending. And then I discovered oil paint, and then that was it. It was what I wanted acrylic to be doing the whole time. So it was an easy choice for me. So far, so beautiful. Thank you very much. Are you copying a real picture of the bird? Yeah, I have a picture of a finch as a reference that I've used to draw this out. And then same thing. These are different. I've used different reference images for every part of this painting, and so I have a reference image available if I need it, but I try not to look at them when I'm at this stage in the painting, and that's because, you know, there's not a lot of detail that needs to be put in right now. This is just block in a color and make sure that the lighting is okay. And then, you know, later on, if something's not looking right, I can always look at that reference image. But I do have it available if I need it. Looks like you can pick that fruit from the picture. Oh, thank you. Love from Colorado. Thank you. I've not been to Colorado. I'd like to go there. I think that's maybe one of the states that I'd really like to see. I've been to the Canadian Rockies many times, so I imagine it's beautiful in the way that the Rockies are beautiful. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. This isn't really a lot of detail right now. I'm just kind of making these marks where I want to put the white eventually, but this will inevitably be covered up when I paint the other colors, so I'm not going to focus too much on this. What did I trace with a white pencil? Yeah, so how I work is I design my image on Photoshop in its entirety. I collect a bunch of different images together, either from paintings or from photos, and I kind of make a digital collage. And I have an archive of images that I've collected over the years, mostly still lifes, mostly flowers, but lots of fruit, and so on. And then I arrange them in different ways, depending on you know, the size of the image or what I want to say and all different things. And then once that digital collage is made in Photoshop, I draw this grid. You can see there's a 1-inch grid here. And then I grid my Photoshop image, my digital image, and then I grid my canvas, and then I just draw it out according to what's in each of the squares. And then from there I paint. You're from Battleground, Alabama. I don't know where Battleground is, but I have been to Birmingham a number of times. I know some people there. I have some family there. On my wife's side. No Americans in my family other than my wife and my son. But I have been to Birmingham, and I like it. I love the food in the South. How do I blend these colors? I'm doing a technique called alla prima, which means wet into wet. Actually, I just posted a YouTube video on it if you're interested, on how to paint alla prima. So yeah, I'm basically doing a technique where you blend right on the painting itself. Bro, you can paint draw, thank you. When did you start to do this, and what stat? I started to do this painting, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 hours ago, but this is my, I don't know, third or fourth session. I keep leading it and coming back to it. I'm not sure what stat means, but maybe the statistics of the painting. It's 12 inches across, that's 30 centimeters, by 16 inches top to bottom, that's 41 centimeters. Your tutorials are helpful in retraining my hand. Oh, nice. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it really is about training and retraining your hands. Yeah, it's so important to just keep practicing. And you, like, even if you just choose one tutorial, like the giraffe, for example, and then just do it like 20 times. But don't just do it 20 times just to get 20, just to do it 20 times. Every time you do it, look at the giraffe and say, hey, what did I like? What am I going to keep for next time? And what didn't I like? You know, what can I get rid of? And really look at it with a critical eye. And I guarantee you by that 20th time, you're going to have a much better result. You're going to have a result you can be happy with. And then you do that with a bunch of tutorials like that. And you're going to be well on your way. That's all drawing is. There's a lot of practice. I know people say it's a talent or something, but practice is such a huge part of it. You mastered the eye? Nice. Probably the skulls were my favorite tutorials to do. I really liked making those ones, the front, side, and 3/4 skulls. Do I have any tips for a beginner? Yeah. Well, depends what you want to do. Are you drawing? Are you painting? And how much of a beginner are you? Are you an absolute beginner? If you're an absolute beginner, like you've never done art before and you're thinking about picking up oil painting, for example, then I'm very happy to direct you to my YouTube channel where I have a whole series called Painting for Beginners. And I walk you through everything, like panel versus paper versus canvas. I have another video just on brushes, like the shapes, round, flat, bright, filbert, angled, fan, etc. What they do, how to use them. Then I have another one just on paint, synthetic versus natural, different recommendations for different price points, like professional versus student. If you want to use student, what should you get? And so on. And color theory, so there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, I think my YouTube channel is probably the best spot to start. But generally speaking, tips for beginners, I would say my biggest tip is to get to know the medium, even if it's drawing, if it's your pencil, get to know what a pencil can do. You know, here's an 8B pencil, right? I can draw with this pencil. I can make a lot of different marks with this pencil. I can go hard or soft. I can go narrow or broad. Right? I can make long lines and short lines, etc. There are a lot of different marks I can make. This is an 8B, which means it's very, very soft. This happens to be a Staedtler Mars Lumograph. This is my recommended pencil. Look how soft this is. It's black graphite. All of the other soft pencils like Derwent and Faber Castell and so on, they use gray graphite all the way through, but Staedtler uses gray just till 6B, and then as soon as they get to their 7B and their 8B, they use black graphite. So this will go really, really dark. Anyway, get to know what it can do, and then paint's the same thing. It's just there's a lot more to do. What can the brushes do, and how do you use them? You might know everything about color theory, but if you don't know how to load a brush with paint, then you're going to struggle. So, when do you go back to put more paint on your brush? A lot of those things are feel and practice. So you have to do that. You have 10,000 bad paintings in you. You have 10,000 bad drawings in you. The sooner you can get those out of you, the sooner you'll get some work that you'll be really proud of and that other people will too. But everyone has to do that. Everyone has the same process. You just have to put in the work. Think about it in terms of, let's say, basketball. And it's not a coincidence that the best players also happen to be the hardest working, whether it's Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Kobe, I'm just totally blanking on his name right now. I want to say Bryant. It doesn't even sound right. Anyway, Michael Jordan. A lot of these basketball players that work really hard are also extremely talented. So it's you need both. Yeah, Bryant. That's right. This is the same green. This is just bright green lake, and I'm mixing it with titanium white to get that difference in value. And the reason why I want to do that is because the head is turning in space. In order to show that it's turning, I need to be able to create some kind of difference. What am I using for a canvas? This is a wooden panel. I'll show you what it looks like. Just a wooden panel. It's 4 sides. You buy it at any art store. And they come in a variety of sizes. They're really great. And I paint it black. I paint it with gesso, which is a primer. It acts as a barrier so that the oil paint doesn't soak into the wood. And I like to use black gesso because it's much easier for me to evaluate value. Not just for me, it's easier for everyone to evaluate their value relationships with a mid-tone instead of white. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. I have Yellow Lake, also Michael Harding. Just a touch of yellow into that bright green lake that I already have there, just on the top of the head, so I can create a little bit of rounding here. It's turning out beautifully, thank you. Okay. It's kind of dotting the white in there, and that is going to give the appearance of feathers. Just a little bit of irregular texture. Simulate feathers. I really like that bright green lake. It's quite a vibrant green, and then especially right beside the red like this, it's going to pop even more. This is a nice demonstration of the principle of complementary color usage. So when you have 2 complementary colors, now back up a second. Complementary colors, if you imagine a color wheel like this, a complementary color is the color directly across on the color wheel. So here, there's a color wheel. So if you look, that's the complement of yellow, that one to there, that one to there, and so on, directly across, that one to here. And when you put 2 colors that are complements right beside each other, they enhance each other. So perceptually, the green appears even brighter and bolder when you put it beside a red. That's the idea anyway. Right. So we're going to go with that upper ventral side here, the breastplate, the chest. Thank you so much. So I was going to go here. I'm going to go back to that King's Blue that we were working with earlier. And I don't know, maybe just as is. So this is the King's Blue. You can see there's a little bit of red on that brush. I don't know, maybe I should clean that brush. I'll just put that brush to one side. There's a little too much red on it for my liking. Okay. So the light is hitting these guandongs. It's close to center, but a little bit from the left. So it's going to be the same thing on the bird, which means that this part of the blue will be lighter than this part. And since I'm only using one blue, I'm just going to add a little bit of white to this side here. Yeah, that should be fine. Keeping it reasonably bright. I don't know, I might add some darker blue here. I'm not sure if I'm getting a dark enough value. Yeah, I don't think I am. I'm gonna go for something a little darker in value. It's gonna have to be something like Ultra. Actually, no, I just had an idea. I'm gonna go with blue violet. Instead of just straight blue, I'm gonna go blue violet because this part is yellow. So if I put a little bit of violet in there, then I'm gonna get a nice complementary tension over here. So let's do that. That'll be pretty cool. The complementary tension is one of my favorite things. This is a high-tech piece of oil painting equipment that I'm using right here. It's a sock. So I'm just gonna, I don't need it to be completely clean, but I'm gonna wipe off whatever I can here. So my idea for the blue violet is a much better idea. All right, let's start again. Here we go. Yeah, this is already going to be better. This blue violet normally is a transparent color, but I'm mixing it with titanium white, which is opaque. So the result will be something like a semi-opaque. So I won't have to worry too much about that black coming through. Oh, thank you. The humor. Nice. And once I get the yellow down on this lower part, this violet's going to make a lot more sense. Or blue violet, I should say. And the lighting is hitting just left of center, so I want this side to be a little brighter than this side. And I'm just using the one color, adding white to it. I'm just going to get the basic color down, and then I'll be able to mix it in after. The little red things, yeah. Yeah, I have never tried these little red fruit before. So they look like pomegranates, just because of the shape. But then when you look inside them, this giant seed. So they're actually called guandong. It's a fruit that's native to Australia. I've never tried it, but I'd like to. But yeah, thank you, though. Thank you so much for the roses. Very much appreciated. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for the roses. So I'm heading for Christmas with my family, but I will be posting regularly on my TikTok account. I've spent some time creating my next tutorials already, so I have some pretty exciting ones coming up. But if you do have any recommendations, you'd like a specific tutorial on something, just leave your suggestions and recommendations in my comment section on not on this live, because I won't be able to access them afterwards, but just on any of my posts, you could make a comment. I have a running list that I access when I'm ready to do a fresh tutorial. So just let me know what you guys are interested in me doing tutorials on. Yeah, hello. So you can see how the light is coming in from the left. And so I've just made that side a little bit brighter. All I've done is add white. Am I selling taut? I'm not sure. Am I? Oh, am I self-taught? No, not really. I did a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in painting. It's a 4-year university degree, but we weren't allowed to paint with oil paint. So I'm not self-taught in the sense that I learned how to paint with acrylic paint. And I learned how to critique a painting. I learned how to balance a painting. I learned color theory. I learned all of the things you learn in art school. I learned that stuff. I am self-taught when it comes to the application of oil paint. But no, the simple answer to that question is no, I'm not self-taught. Just drew the giraffe. Oh, nice. Yeah, I had a lot of fun making that one. So you'll see that after the giraffe, I have another tutorial that uses the giraffe the first 42 seconds or something like that. And it's a dragon, so you could try that. If you've done the giraffe and you like the giraffe, you could do the dragon. Yeah, why not oil paint? They didn't have the ventilation. I didn't go to a dedicated art school. I went to a university with an art program. And the building that the university gave the art department for us to paint in didn't have proper ventilation, so we weren't allowed. Yeah. Am I located in GTA? Yeah, I'm in the Toronto area, for sure. If you're looking for a commission, just send me an email. It's my username, markliamsmith@gmail.com, and we can talk about sizing and pricing and so on. Used to draw a lot, but since you're depression, you can't concentrate. So yeah, sorry to hear that. It's depression is one of those things that tends to affect a lot of aspects of our lives, so sorry to hear that. I'm gonna go into the wing next with that same intense green that I've been working with here, which is bright green lake, and then I'm adding a little bit of titanium white to it, but also some of that yellow, some of that incredible yellow lake. So this is a fairly rough brush, but I'm going to use that to my advantage because the brush strokes, the direction of the brush strokes, will be following in the direction of the wings. Just keep holding that color down. Yes, at Gmail. That's right. markliamsmith@gmail.com. You could also just go to my website. There's a form on my website you could fill in. It'll automatically send it to me. By the way, for those of you who are interested in having my art on your walls, I have over 40 of my paintings in print form. So if you want to buy a print, they're pretty accessible price-wise. They start at $25. So, yeah, they're durable. They're museum quality prints. So 25. Some of them are 40 for the bigger ones, and then the really big ones are there's I think 2 for 60 and 1 for 80 or something like that. But those are quite big. But yeah, most of them are 25 or 40. So check those out if you're interested. There's a link in my bio on TikTok, or you could go to markliamsmith.com and yeah, I'd really appreciate you checking those out and appreciate your support. What's the fruit? It's like a lychee, but it's called a quandong. Quan, quan, dong, dong. It's a fruit native to Australia. All of the elements in this painting, the rainbow finch, and then these flowers that I'll be doing later on, these are all native to Australia. And the reason is this painting is going to Australia. I represented by a couple of different galleries, and this one's going to my Australian gallery. 19 Karen in the Gold Coast, just north of Brisbane. Sorry to hear your art teacher didn't give you your drawings back. That's not very cool. Start streaking in some of the yellow into this wing here. Sometimes when I'm painting fur, I use a nail. Actually, I have it. Oh, here it is. I have this pretty lo-fi, low-tech option here, but I just tape a nail. You see it onto an old paintbrush. And then you can scratch with the nail. You can scratch your patterns. So I've used it for fur. Actually, I used it on the table here on this wood down here. You can see I kind of scratch in the wooden texture. But you can also use it for feathers. It's a nice. So we're gonna go with. I might just, yeah, maybe I will do that. Scratch out some. Okay, thanks so much for the shares, everyone, and for the likes. 12,500 likes, so thank you very much. It's much appreciated. DJ Chaloni, yeah, hello Matt. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm going to add some white to that green now. Let's just see if I can get a little bit more roundedness here at the front. I must have a lot of fun painting. Yeah, I do. I really enjoy it. What's my favorite color to paint with? I like dioxazine purple a lot. The tints are so beautiful, and you can get a full value range. It's almost black right out of the tube, and you can just mix it right down to just an off-white, and the whole range of purples that it creates are really quite beautiful. So yeah, probably dioxazine purple, and in particular the one made by Gamblin Paints, this one here. Beautiful. Do I paint a lot of portraits? No, not a lot. I haven't done portraits in a while. Almost all of my work now is still life, mostly flowers and fruit. But in 2015, 2016, when I was first starting out, I only exhibited portraiture. Portraiture is a lot harder for me because I'm colorblind, and people always want their skin to be skin color. So when I'm dealing with desaturated colors like skin tone, because all of those colors, no matter what your complexion is, all of those colors are just desaturated oranges, and those are very hard for me to distinguish. So I really like painting people, but I don't like painting them in their actual colors. I like painting green and blue and so on. So no, I haven't done portraits in a long time. And this is just a nail, by the way, taped to a paintbrush. And I'm just scraping some of the paint, scraping some of the feathers into. It's a nice way to get some detail in a quick way. You have to do that while the paint is still somewhat wet. You'd never be able to paint all of these individual lines. Or if you could, it would take you days. Am I colorblind? Yes. Yeah, I'm red-green colorblind. I'm what's called a deuteranope. And I have moderate color blindness, so I don't live in a black and gray world, but any colors that are nuanced, like olives and so on, those are all very, very difficult for me. Show us your paintings. Yeah, happy to go to markliamsmith.com, and you can see not only my paintings, but all of the prints that I have available of those paintings. You can also see all of my work on Instagram. But yeah, I think markliamsmith.com, there's a link in the bio. That's the best place to look at all my paintings. Just smoothing out some of these lines that I just made. I don't want them quite so ordered. Bringing back a little bit of the chaos. Blending some of them out. Like that. And some of these stronger ones too. Once this paint dries, I can always glaze another color on top if need be, but for the time being, I'm just going to leave it as is. Just with the implied feathers, I think is the best way to go about it. Sent you the things I want done, and also would be very interested in ideas. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Thank you. After I'm traveling tomorrow, so I'll have a look at that probably Monday. But thanks for sending that along. I'm certainly interested in chatting with you about your ideas. It's a parrot. No, it's a rainbow finch. Yeah, it's a kind of a finch that is native to Australia. So we're gonna go with the yellow now on this breastplate, but it's not the yellow we've been using, which is this yellow lake that we have up here. Rather, it's a warm yellow. And the reason for the warm yellow, why we want to go with that, is because we have this blue violet here. And the warm yellow, the yellow with a little bit of orange in it, will give you a nice complementary tension. How are you supposed to know? You weren't supposed to know. I didn't know what this was until I researched it. I don't, yeah, unless you're some kind of ornithologist, I don't think, I wouldn't have any expectation that people would know that that's a rainbow finch. Are those pomegranates? No, it's a kind of a fruit native to Australia called the quandong. It's something between, I don't know, lychee, like it has a big seed like this, there's a big seed in the middle. But it's from the outside, it's shaped like a pomegranate. It's a lot smaller though. They're only about this big. Like a golf ball. Am I going to paint the black part on his head? No, that is the part that is painted. It's painted black. A part of his head is black. Do I ever paint and make a mess of it afterwards? No, I make intentional messes. So, I don't know if I can show you one. Yeah, like here. This is... I just finished a YouTube video on how to paint impasto, which is a technique that uses very thick paint. So, I just painted this as a demonstration, and you can see how thick it is. So that's quite a mess. A bouquet of flowers. But yeah, I mean, you can see how much it comes off the page, like there, here. It's pretty thick. It's going to take a month to dry. But yeah, so I was doing how to paint impasto for my YouTube video. But other than making intentional mess like that, no, I tend not to make too much of a mess when I'm painting. What type of canvas is this? This is a wooden panel. You can buy them at art stores. They come, they're thick. They have this 1 3/4 inch thick, and then it's composite wood, and then it comes gessoed, like primed. And then I put another coat of primer on it with black gesso. So we're gonna go cadmium yellow, which is a nice orangey yellow. Well, it's not super orangey, but it's on the warm side of yellow, let me say that. And then we're gonna mix a little bit of, let me see, cadmium yellow light. So here's cadmium yellow and cadmium yellow light, which is the same as cadmium yellow medium, but just with a little bit of titanium white in it. This is a nice set, actually, if you get the deep as well. So Gamblin makes 3 different cadmium yellows, all slightly different in value and intensity. The cadmium yellow deep is heading toward orange. But those all work nicely if you're developing an analogous color palette, for example. So let's go with that cadmium yellow and cadmium yellow light. Dipping my brush in the linseed oil just to clean it off, and we'll wipe it on a rag. And then let's just get started directly. You can see how thick cadmium is. It's quite a lot. It's quite different. Other cadmiums, cadmium red, cadmium orange, cadmium yellow. They're really great. They're all very opaque, as opposed to, say, cobalts. The cobalts are all very transparent. Usually with cobalt, you see it with greens and blues. It's quite expensive to get real cobalt in paint because it has to be mined. don't want to get close to that green because the yellow's going to pick it up. Do I use oil paints most of the time? Yeah, I only use oil paints. Have I ever tried to create my own colors? Well, I do that all the time, I guess, when I'm mixing. But I haven't, no, I've never tried to create my own paint. But I create my own colors on the canvas all the time by mixing different combinations of colors. I go with the cadmium light up here. Okay. What kind of paint do I use? Mostly I use Michael Harding and Old Holland, but I also use Gamblin. Let's say 90% of the paint I use are those three, maybe 95%. Yeah, 95% or so. I have a few tubes of other things like Charvin and Winsor Newton and Williamsburg. Those are mostly for specific colors. Cama Pigments, I have some. It's a Canadian company out of Montreal. But yeah, mostly I use Michael Harding and Old Holland. Would ever try experimenting with other art materials like watercolor, charcoal, ink, etc.? Yeah, I've done a lot of drawing in my life, so I'm very comfortable with charcoal and pencil and colored pencil, and even ink. I'm very comfortable with any of the drawing materials. I'm not comfortable with watercolor. I've done a few watercolors, and I don't have a great watercolor set, so yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing. I think it seemed like with watercolor, you really need to have the paint, the brushes, and the paper all are all doing things that are important. Whereas with oil paint, you know, if you have a really good paint, you can kind of get away with bad brushes and a bad canvas. But with watercolor, you needed all three to be doing something. Yeah. Do I also draw or color? Yeah, I do. Yeah, not for sale though. Just in my own time, I do a lot of colored pencil and drawing. For selling my art, like for showing them in galleries and so on, I just do painting and digital art. So I have a show of digital art that has been made into photographs. I have a show in New York right now for that through Treat Gallery. There's a link in my bio. And then for my paintings, I have a show on right now in Montreal, Canada. And there's a link in my bio to that too. Getting really close to these other colors, but not touching them yet, because they will react with the yellow. I have to be very careful here. Was your younger education and goals originally about art, or is it more of a recent random thing? It is recent, it's not random. I was interested in art, and I did a whole bunch of different things at university. Art was one of them, but I ultimately decided not to go into art. And I did some other things, and I had a different kind of job, different kind of career. And then I've recently come back to art about 6 years ago. So, but yeah, it's always been there somewhere. I think that's fair to say. Did you do art, GCSE, A level, etc.? No, well, I went to school in Canada, so we don't have GCSEs or A levels. But I did art in high school, what you would call secondary school. And I also did a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree at university, a 4-year degree program. But yeah, that's just one way you can be an artist anyway. Sometimes not being an artist is the way to become one. Well, you don't need a formal education, yeah, that's for sure. It there are lots of successful artists who have never gone to a single art class, and there are a lot of successful artists who've gone right through the art education system. Like you can be 12 years old and be a successful famous artist. You can you can start painting when you're 80. It's one of those things. It's not like any other kind of job where you need to get a certain license or accreditation. You need to have a certain education. It's just, none of that applies to art. You can do it just by watching a few YouTube videos and experimenting. How long do my paintings normally take me? This size usually takes me 2 to 3 weeks. Probably the quickest I could do it is a week. Depends on how complicated the picture is. But yeah, usually I'd say 2 weeks. The longest I've ever spent on a painting was 4 months. And that painting was 60 inches or 5 feet by 40 inches, so 5 by 3.5. And it was a table full of stuff. Yeah, that took me 4 months of really, really intense 4 months, 7 days a week. That was in 2019 I did that painting. You can see it on my website. What's better to use when drawing, a soft pencil or a marker? It depends what you want to draw and why you want to draw it. If it's a drawing that uses a lot of other kinds of pencil, probably a soft pencil is better. There's a certain permanence about a marker that can be used to its advantage. So if some people like to do an outline with pencil and then draw with marker on top, sort of inking it, like you would see a comic book artist do. So in that case, the marker is probably better, because then you can erase the pencil and you're only left with a marker. It depends. There's no, just, it's on the look you want. There's no answer to that. Have you ever imagined becoming an artist? Well, I am an artist. Yeah. So, I did imagine it. But yeah, I'm an artist now. I'm represented by a couple of different galleries, and I have Right now I have paintings in a gallery in Australia, a gallery in Montreal, Canada. I have digital photography in a gallery in New York right now as we speak. Yeah, I sell my art. I've had exhibitions in London and Miami, Los Angeles, New York, Toronto, and Montreal, Vancouver, and Basel, Switzerland. Yeah, I'm an artist for sure. You just have to keep practicing every day if you want to be an artist. Try to learn from your mistakes. There are things in every single painting that you can improve to the next one. It's just a matter of finding what and figuring out why. And then when you take that critical approach after each painting, you'll be able to accelerate the learning process, and then you'll be able to find your own style a little more quickly with an increased introspection. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow now to the top of the wing here. And white as well. I'm just not getting enough rounding. It's still too wet, so I'll have to come back to this. What can you do to make something look like it's producing light or like it's neon? That has less to do with the thing and more to do with the stuff around that thing. So to get the illusion of something producing light, you need to have that thing casting its light onto the surrounding objects. So there's nothing that will look neon just by itself. It's what's going on around it. It's very much about the relationships. Are they coloring the background in last? Yeah, I tend to do that. It's a combination of, no, I don't want to wait till the very end to do the background, but also I don't want to lose my drawing, so I usually get the painting to a certain point where I have enough of it down that I can not lose my drawing, and then I'll paint the background and then go back into the painting to finish the details. Because the problem with painting the background last is that you have all of the edge work to do, and you don't want to ruin the edges of your painting. So you can see how I've left it. It's not totally finished, the detail-wise, but it's at a point where I can leave it. I don't need to rely on the drawing anymore. Then I can do the background, and then I can finish the edges afterwards. That's the idea. That's the theory, at least. So for the last few tail feathers, we're going to go with teals, I think. Teals makes the most sense. What kind of fruit is that? Yeah, this guy's the kind of fruit called a quandong. 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 This is a fruit native to Australia. It has a large seed here in the middle, like a lychee. But has the same coloring and external shape as a pomegranate, though much smaller. It's about the size of a golf ball. Do I prefer drawing cartoon or realistic? Depends what I'm doing. If I'm trying to sell my drawings, I draw more realistically. But if I'm just doodling, I usually doodle cartoons or illustrative. Maybe not cartoons, but illustrative. If I'm just doodling. Yeah, Kwandong. I never heard of it either until I did the research. This painting is going into a gallery in Australia, so that's why I wanted the bird and the flowers and the fruit, everything to be native to Australia. So when I was doing my research, I came across these. I thought, wow, that's a cool color. Number one, and number two, never heard of it, so I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. So let me see, where are we? Let's go for a little bit of white underneath. Yeah, I don't imagine many people have heard of it, unless you live in Australia. It wouldn't be unusual. Okay, I'm gonna send you or show you this trick. This is a selfie stick. The wire is just because it broke. But so you can bend it down, and then I'll show you how I do it. So at the top here of my easel, I have this. I'm gonna extend this, put it on the top like that. I mean, I could also just hook it on the painting itself. That's fine, because I haven't painted that part yet. And then it just hangs there. And then with my non-dominant hand, I can hold it and control it. And then with my dominant hand, I can rest it on the pole. So that's really neat for trying to get details. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just use this pole to rest my hand on. And it's much easier to get details this way. Love from Iran. Thank you for being here. One of my best friends is from Iran. Is that a lovebird? I think it's a rainbow finch. It's also native to Australia. Okay, I'm gonna go with some teals now. Sorry about being congested. It can't be helped. The time. So for those of you who are interested in picking up any of my prints, I have over 40 of my prints available in my store. There's a link in my bio, or you could go to markliamsmith, that's my username, .com. And they're fairly accessible. 25 bucks is where they start. Yeah, if you'd like some prints, please do check out my store. I ship a lot of different places. I'm not going to say everywhere, but I do a lot of different places. So, please check them out if you're interested. I would be grateful for your support. Let's go for this teal tail here. I'm using a color called Cobalt Teal, and I'm mixing it with Titanium White. And then less titanium white. That is a Finch. The bird, the finch, is the official name of Finch. I don't know if that's. I've never heard of that before. It could be. I didn't. Can I show your painting? How often you switch brushes? Yeah, it's a finch. Yeah, it's a rainbow finch. How often I switch brushes? I don't switch brushes too often. I have these ones, and then I've been using these two, and this one. These are the ones I've been using. So this one is an old. Oh no, it wasn't this one. It was this larger one. This is an old angled brush that I was using. That the bristles are all kind of hard, and so it's creating nice texture for the leaves. And then this one I was using for details. This is, I think, a 3. Yeah, this is a 000. Nice and thin. And then this one is just an old round brush that's kind of lost its shape, and the bristles are a little hard. So again, I'm using it to sort of scratch in the details. Dizzy Dolphin, hello. What would I rate my painting out of 10? Well, what's the scale? 10 being what? The best painting I've ever done? It's not a 10 in that sense. You know what? We have to define the scale before I can rate it. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst painting I've ever done, the worst painting I've ever done, and 10 being the best painting I've ever done, it's probably an 8. I tend to like the paintings that I do that have a lot of complexity. So I have some paintings that have, it's a table with just a ton of stuff in it. I have one in my current show like that, and I have one from 2019. Those are my 2 favorite paintings of all time. So those ones, on my scale of rating my own paintings from 1 to 10, I'd say those are the 10s. And then, yeah, so this is kind of, it's behind that. But I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's hard to rate your own paintings. Your stuff's brilliant, lad. Thank you. You must be from the UK. Davey. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. A lot of details on this one. Yeah, it's getting there, hey? Yeah, thank you. By the way, everyone, we've just passed 14,500 likes on this live stream. It's much appreciated. All of the people who are liking and sharing the live stream. Thank you very much. Do I ever get bored with painting that takes a long time to complete? No, just the opposite. This is where I get to slow everything down. There's a lot of fast in my life. I have a 3-year-old, and just running my own art is, in terms of the social media and the just my painting and my photography and my digital work and my stores and everything, and responding, and there's a lot of fast in my life, and but when I'm creating, this is an opportunity to slow things down. No, I don't get bored of it. It's almost like how people go for a long distance run or meditate. It's sort of in that level of catharsis for me. Yeah. Yeah, I guess in a way, tune out or just tune in, hyper focus on one thing, slow everything else down. I think there's a lot of distraction and there's a lot of speed everywhere. So this is a nice opportunity to not have to attenuate, at least to that. Do I ever make prints of my paintings? Yes, thank you, Anita, for your question. I do. I have over 40 prints available of my paintings on my online shop. I've only had it online for maybe a month or so, maybe 6 weeks. But yeah, I have 40 prints available of all different paintings that I've made over the years. Most of them, though, are from this last show that I have now. I have a solo show in Montreal. It's either from that or the one before in 2019. And they start at $25 for the prints, and then the bigger ones are 40, and then the really big ones are, I think 2 are 60, and there's one that's even 80. That's a really big one, but most of them are like $25 or $40. So yeah, there's a link in my bio, or you could go to markliamsmith.com if you're interested. Thank you for your question. Focuses life and meditation, natural rhythm. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm unique at all. Do I have COVID? No, I am congested, but I'm traveling soon, so I actually had to go get a COVID test. So I am very happy to announce that no, I do not have COVID, and I have just been tested 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So I'm good, and I have not left the house since I've been tested. So it's an all clear from me. But please do keep your mask on, though, because I don't know if you've been tested. I'm going to put some stripes in the wing here now. You love birds? Nice. Yeah, thanks. This is a kind of a finch called a rainbow finch. This bird is native to Australia, as are all of the elements in this piece. Let's go for the foot now. Could I say hometown? Your sister Leah. How's it going, Leah? TikTok version of Bob Ross. Yeah, how you doing, Leah? Yeah, Bob Ross was a good educator. Brought a lot of. He had a certain formula. He was quite good at what he did as an educator. I'm hopefully bringing a little bit of that chilled vibe, but nobody, I think, can compare to the incomparable Bob Ross. Incredible talent for what he did. Am I feeling okay? Yeah, I'm still congested. Yeah, I've had a COVID. I got a COVID test a couple of days ago though, so I'm negative. I don't have COVID, so that's the good news. Those are the times we live in when you are grateful just to have a cold. But yes, you're right. I am stuffed up. Oh, you drew the hand? Nice. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, I have a couple of different hand tutorials on there. I had a lot of requests for hands, but I had a hard time figuring out which one to do, because for every single tutorial, like if you're doing that, you know, or that, or that, or that, like every single position is a different tutorial. So pretty difficult just to pick one. But so I think I did 3 different ones plus the fist. Anyway, we'll see how the series goes. I can always do more as well. How long do I think it would take to paint all of this? I think it's taken over 10 hours so far. But we did all of the bird today. I don't know what time I started. I really enjoyed painting a magpie at my last exhibit, my last exhibition. I painted a magpie that was standing on top of a diamond. That was really cool. Enjoyed it for sure. Did I dedicate my life to that today? Well, no, I didn't start it today. I've been painting this over a while, but yeah, I paint for a living. It's my job, so yeah, I do paint every day. I paint 7 days a week, but I don't paint all day every day. Thanks so much. Okay, let's change gears now. I'm gonna go up to the top. Whoops. Almost had a major malfunction there. Okay. I'm gonna go here. To this plant here. There's quite a lot of detail in it, and it's this weird, I shouldn't say weird. It's weird for me as a Canadian, but just because I've never seen it before, but I don't know how common it is. Anyway, it's the structure it comes up almost like a cylinder or something, and then from a central core, there are spines that radiate all the way around. But I don't know. It looks to maybe to be the size of a toilet roll or something like that. But it's going to be almost like a purple, violet maybe. I think I'm going to go with cobalt violet as a base, and then after that dries, I'll add all of the spines afterwards. So for now, I just need to get that base down. Cobalt violet. I guess it doesn't matter. Technically, any violet would do. I have ultramarine violet as well to choose from. Violet. I think we're going to go with this ultramarine violet here. Series 2 Michael Harding. This is transparent, so not too worried about that though, because I am going to be adding titanium white to create a tint out of it. And then the spines or spikes, whatever they are, that are coming out of that will be mostly white anyway. So we'll see. And I'm not finishing this right now. It's just a matter of getting it down so that it can dry. It's going to be important. By the way, this was the other choice I had, which was Cobalt Violet. Also pretty decent. You can see the difference in violets though. This one's got a lot more red in it. Anyway, both good for different reasons. This one is cobalt phosphate. But cobalt tends to be pretty transparent as well, as does ultramarine. But this is an oil painting, yes. Yeah, it is. I'm gonna dip that brush into linseed oil because it is a new color, and wipe it off on this rag. Okay. There are going to be some other colors that are still on that brush. I'm not even really worried about it. Coloring pencils, what brand do I get? Well, it all depends on your budget. If you have quite a tight budget, I would recommend Prismacolor student level. And if you have a little bit more money to spend on your colored pencils, Prismacolor Premier is quite good. But for a holiday present or a birthday present, you know, if you're spending somebody else's money, basically, I would recommend, let me show you. This is my #1 recommendation. Company is Faber Castell. The set is the 120 Polychromos. So that's the name you have to remember, Polychromos. This set is the kind of the, this is the one you want if you're working with colored pencils. So it has 3 levels of colored pencil. This is that's the level for the warms, and then that lifts out, and the next level are the cool colors. So you get all your blues and greens into the browns, and then the third level is just kind of everything else, a lot of skin tones and metallics. So that's the Faber Castell 120 Polychromos. You can get these sets. They do come on sale every so often. So this, if you buy these pencils separately, they cost about $4 each. So it's pretty intense. The whole set's about $500. But they come on sale about once a year, and it's just completely random. But I got this one when it was on sale, and it was about half price. It was like just over $250, which is still a lot of money. So it was a Christmas present for me. But yeah, it's regularly like $500, but you can get it half price. You just have to keep your eyes open. And they last forever, and they're really, really high quality pigment. So that's what I would, there's only one recommendation choice. If you don't have to worry too much about budget, like if somebody else is getting it for you, yeah. Otherwise, go for Prismacolor Student Grade. It would be the cheapest ones I'd recommend, and Prismacolor Premier. Oh, thanks so much. What kind of paint is that? This is oil paint. Yeah. This color right here is Ultramarine Violet mixed with Titanium White. Yeah, if any of you guys would like a print, I have prints available in my store now. And I have made over 40 different prints available. They start at 25 bucks. You can check those out. If you are into painting, if you're into starting painting, please check out my YouTube channel. I have a series on there that's painting for beginners. I cover everything from brushes to the paint itself, to different supports like canvases or paper. Yeah, please check it out. I'd love to have your support over there at YouTube. The red fruits glow like hot coals. Oh, thanks. Yeah, they remind me a lot of some peppers that I painted before. All of that cadmium. That's a bird. Yeah, it's a bird. Make it a little bit lighter on the top here. I'm not putting any details in at all yet, and this whole thing's gonna have to dry first. What's the fruit called? It's a kind of fruit called a quandong. Quandong. It's a fruit that's native to Australia. How's that? You see the large seed in the middle. Exactly. Yeah. Quandong, that's right. Dragon Slayer. That's how it's spelled. There's that large seed in the middle, like a lychee. I have no idea what it tastes like. I've never tried one. As far as I know, you can only get it in Australia, and that is a country I've not been to. I'm painting that fruit and that bird and this plant, and so these are all Australian. So it's Australian fruit, and Australian bird, and Australian flowers, because this painting is going to Australia. It's going to 19 Karen Gallery, which is gallery that represents me in Australia. So that's why all of this stuff is Australian themed. Yeah, I'd like to try it. It doesn't look like there's much there. It looks about the size of a golf ball, but because of how large that seed is, it doesn't look like there's much fruit on it. But still, it would be fun to try. I don't even know what family of fruit. I should research it more so I can answer those kinds of questions in an intelligible way. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to go to Australia too. It would be amazing. We have these other circles we have here are quite an unusual plant as well. They look like, yeah, just little circles, little puff balls. And they're bright yellow. So I think we're going to go with a combination of cadmium yellow light for the highlights and cadmium yellow medium for the midtones and cadmium yellow deep for the lowlights. And they start up here, and you can see all the way across. So let's get a start on that anyway. I don't know. I don't think I'll be painting for that much longer tonight. I still have some packing to do. Okay. I'm gonna dip my brush in the linseed oil and wipe it on a rag. Just because I have been using that violet. The Magpie diamond print is incredible. Oh, thank you so much. Anita, thank you. Did you get it? I don't know if you were one of the ones that got that. I know the original painting is already sold for that Magpie and diamond. The print is exactly the same size as the painting, which is 8 by 10 inches or 25 by 20 centimeters. Okay, let's go in right away with this cadmium yellow light here. Just gonna get the basics down and then go in for details afterwards. This is cadmium. Cadmium takes the longest to dry out of all of the pigments. So, depends on how thick you put it on, but it's not unusual for cadmium to take 5 or 6 days to dry. Even for a relatively thin layer. Please send the link to your website. Yeah, just go to my TikTok profile, and I have a link tree there, so that has all of my links there. Yeah, just click on my my profile on my username on TikTok, and you'll see all of the links. Or you could just go to my website. It's markliamsmith.com. Same as my username, markliamsmith, and then just .com. Extreme yellow, yeah, cadmium yellow is really extreme. No joke. For the shadows, I'm going to be going into the oranges. Oranges are a very nice shadow color for yellow. You wouldn't think it is, but it is. Yeah, exactly. The minerals are different, so they just take longer to dry. Yeah, cadmium takes longer than cobalt. Titanium is pretty quick. But yeah, that's all paint is. It's different crushed rocks floating in linseed oil. For oil paint, and then for acrylic paint, it's different crushed rocks floating in acrylic gel medium, which is liquid plastic, basically. It doesn't sound as glamorous, though, when you say it that way. This reminds me of painting one of my favorite things, and that's grapes. I really like painting grapes. But grapes are more fun than these flowers because they're semi-translucent at least. So you can really try to manipulate, play with the light. These flowers are opaque, almost like puffy dandelions or something. How long does it take to paint a painting like this? This painting will take 2 weeks, probably. I mean, it's going pretty quick now that I've done the fruit and the bird. So these leaves will go quick. Maybe another 10 hours or something. I don't know. Something like that. The hardest part is definitely finished. Hardest, I mean, longest time commitment. That part's over. We have the most wonderful flora. I'm just biased. In Australia, yeah, it's pretty amazing from the research that I've done anyway. Concentration of mineral particles, size, exactly, yeah, for sure. So, this, and then also whether it's synthetic or natural. So this is real lapis lazuli. If camera's gonna focus on this or not. So lapis lazuli is made up of, it's a rock. It has to be mined, and this is the rock that makes ultramarine blue. And natural lapis, like this, can be ground down to 20 micron particles is probably it's about the best they can do. And then synthetic lapis is ground down to 1 micron. So it's much, much smaller. Excuse me. I'm not going to be able to stay on this live very much longer. I'm going to have to finish packing and then get to sleep early. But yes, the pigment concentration is really important, and the particle size is very important too. You wish you could spare this much time, but after having kids, you have no time. Yeah, I hear you. I look after my 3-year-old during the day. So I start painting at 6:30, and then I take over. I look after my son at 9, and then I paint during his nap from 1 till 3, and then I paint again after supper until I go to sleep, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock sometimes. I don't have a TV. I got rid of my TV. So, yeah, I mean, you can... Sometimes there are ways to find a little bit of time here and there. Sometimes not. I'm definitely not the busiest person in the world. You bought another print? Oh, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Libby. I just checked the store earlier today, and they said the prints are arriving between the 24th and 28th, so it's a crapshoot whether or not it'll be there for the 25th. But I don't send them directly. They go through a third party. The supplier and shipper is a third party. So hopefully they can get it to you in time, but I don't know. But thank you for picking up another print. It's very much appreciated. Abundance. Oh, nice. That's awesome. I did see that somebody got the abundance. So yeah, oh, that's awesome. That was you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That the original painting just sold 2 weeks ago. During the opening, it was purchased. So I can't tell you who it went to. I think it went to an Australian or collector in Montreal. I shouldn't do that. I'm gonna get into trouble if I use that big brush right there. Oh, yeah, thanks so much, Libby. Appreciate that. Shout out from Guyana. Oh, nice. I haven't been to Guyana, but I think the closest I've ever come to Guyana is I went to Colombia, but I'd love to go. Let me see if that one comes this way. Big fan. Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Jazzy, thank you for the rose. How much did the painting go for, if you don't mind me asking? I think Abundance went for 6,000. I'm not sure. Something like that. It's it was the second biggest piece in the show, I think. Yeah, around 6,000. The largest piece in the show, I think, is 8,200. And then the small pieces are, I don't know, maybe 1,400 or something like that. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I'd love to purchase a smaller painting. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, the smallest paintings in the show were 8 inches by 10 inches, and I think they were 1,400 Canadian. So, like, in American, that's what? 1,100 American for the smallest ones? Something like that. And this size, which is 12 inches, 12 across and 16 tall, or like for Europeans, that's 30 centimeters across and 41 centimeters tall. That size is 2,600 Canadian. So like 2,100 American, something like that. How do I purchase? So all my paintings are sold through galleries. So you'd go to my website and then click the shop paintings tab and look at the different paintings that you want. And then, so I have 3 different galleries that sell my paintings. There's Montreal, that's Gallery Yoon in Montreal. There's Rouge Gallery in Western Canada. And then there's 19 Karen in Australia. So once you find the painting you like, then there's a link to that gallery from that painting. And then, yeah, so that's kind of how you do it. Or else you could just go to those gallery websites directly, and then they would have my work just on their websites. And then, or you could go to my Instagram or Facebook and look at the posts as well, because I have the links on those posts. And then I also have digital photography up for grabs right now from Treat Gallery in New York. And the links are also in the bio for that. But thank you for asking. Sorry for your congestion. Oh, thank you so much. I got a COVID test a couple days ago and I'm negative, so I'm very grateful to only have a cold. hello from SC. I'm gonna say South Carolina. Hello back from Canada. South Carolina, what do I know? South Carolina, oh, you guys have Clemson. You guys have the Clemson Tigers. They are, even in Canada, we know about Clemson. How long does a painting take? Depends on the size and the complexity, but a painting like this will take a couple of weeks. I think I don't know, 10, 12 hours or something like that now. So yeah, maybe another 10 hours. Hello from Santiago. Oh, nice. Bienvenidos. That's cool. How long does it take? Hey, Jamaican in the building. Oh, welcome. I have been to your country and I loved it. The food was incredible. I went to the province of Westmoreland, to the world famous 7 Mile beach in Negril. That was some time ago. But I really loved the Caribbean in general, but Jamaica was pretty special. Pretty special place. How many paintings have I made? Just in my life? I don't know. Hundreds of finished paintings, and then many, many more practice paintings. Maybe over 1,000. Between 1,000 and 2,000, I guess. Like not including studies on paper. And then it gets into then the number would be quite high. Paintings, I've probably shown 200 paintings in galleries over 6 years. So yeah, like I've had shows in LA, Miami, New York, Seattle, Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, Basel, Switzerland, London. Yeah, maybe 200 or so. St. Andrew, Scotland. You should visit Portland next time. Lovely rivers. Yeah, I'd love to. Are you talking Portland in Jamaica or Portland, Oregon? Probably Jamaica. Portland, Jamaica, Portland, St. Andrew. Oh, I don't know those ones. But I landed in it was quite a drive. I drove 2 hours to Westmoreland. I think I landed in Montego Bay. I know I didn't go to Kingston. It was on the other side. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I would definitely go back. You're sick too? Yeah, I think a lot of that's going around. Did I paint a lot during the lockdown? Yes. Yeah, I did. Painted a lot more. What brand am I using? I'm using mostly Michael Harding. I'll show you what it looks like. This is what the tubes look like, Michael Harding. And I'd say Michael Harding and Old Holland. This is what those tubes look like. Those two kinds of paint probably make up the vast majority of my paint. And then I paint a lot with this one as well, Gamblin. maybe the rest, 10%. What kind of canvas is this? This is a panel. This is a wooden panel. I'll show you. Looks like this. It's got wood on 4 sides and composite board. You can buy them at art stores. And I like painting on them for smaller work because they're very smooth. And even there's some texture on canvas that is a little too textured for me if I want to get something really, really smooth. Show some great spots. Oh yeah, nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think I'd be visiting for a while now though. I have a little 3-year-old. So this one I'm just gonna go for one more up here. And back here. Is it chalkboard paint under? No, this is black gesso. And I've drawn on top of the black gesso with white colored pencil. Or, well, to be more precise, light gray. I'll show you what it looks like. Just a light gray colored pencil. I think it might have been this one, I don't know. I have all different kinds and colors. It might have been this one. 20%. This is a Prismacolor Premier. This one's 20% gray. I have 10, 20, 30. I just grab them. Excuse me. Oh boy. Sorry about that. Tips on how to blend paint. Yeah, I have lots of how-to videos on my YouTube channel. How to scumble, how to blend, how to glaze, how to paint with alla prima, which is what I'm doing now this way. Yeah, I have a painting for beginners. You can, I definitely direct you to that for all of the tips, but basically it's about controlling the how much paint you have on your brush, but also the shape of the brush is really important. I have another video on my YouTube channel about the different shapes and what they do and why they do what they do. So like there's like a flat brush, a bright brush, which is like a flat but stubbier, an angled brush, a filbert brush, a round brush, a fan brush. There's lots of different things. And so blending really has to do with how much paint is on your brush and what shape of your brush. So lots of different things. Thank you for the bless you, Holly. Do I only paint? No. Painting is my primary art form, but I also do digitally manipulated photography. So like I'll take a photo and then heavily paint it in digitally paint it. So I have a series of digitally manipulated photographs. They're almost paintings, I guess, digital paintings. I have a series of that right now that we've made into limited edition photos. And those are being sold through Treat Gallery in New York right now until the end of the month. And they are limited edition to 5. I think some of them might be sold out, but there's still some that are available. So I do that as well as painting. And then I also do NFTs, which is a new kind of art. It's a kind of crypto art, I guess you would call it. Digital originals. So there's basically a new technology that can make digital art unique by tying it through technology to something called the blockchain. I won't get into it right now, but yeah, I make NFTs as well. Do I prefer realism or abstract painting? I prefer realism. I really like the narrative aspect that non-abstract can give you. I like the emotion and the color and textures of abstract, but I think you can also get emotion and colors and textures from realism. You appreciate a lot of abstract art, but I prefer realistic art, or figurative art, I think is the better way to say it. I just seen my letter P video. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that one got a lot of traction for sure. You're from the Gambia in West Africa. Nice, welcome. This is oil paint. Yeah, NFT. Where are you from? I'm from Canada right now. I was born in England though. I prefer abstract. I prefer realism to abstract. I think I just said that one. Like makeup brushes, yes, yeah, indeed. Painting and makeup, I think would have I don't know makeup, but when I see the odd video or see my wife applying makeup, yeah, I think there are a lot in common, depending on the brushes and the layering and the subject. The support is what we'd call the canvas or the panel or the paper. We call that a support. In the makeup world, I guess you just call that a face. You tried with oil, you just can't get it right. You might be trying with, it might be the paint as well. When you have very inexpensive oil, student grade oil, it's usually full of talc and chalk and sometimes calcium carbonate. There are a lot of fillers in it. And so it doesn't typically do what you want it to do. It ends up being very transparent. So yeah, it might be the paint. It might not be you. That's like trying to prepare to be a Formula One racer by driving a beater. It's like, well, you can learn some things about the road, but ultimately, if you want to learn what paint can do, you have to get better paint at some point, because it's quite different. It acts differently, especially with each other. Like different layers on top of each other, they act quite differently. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you don't even need to use thinner. If you're using student grade paint, there's enough thinner already in the paint. Like student grade paint is mostly filler, so you don't even need to add. Like just try it without adding filler, solvents and stuff. Don't just try painting without that stuff. Just go with the paint. If you have high quality paint and it's too thick, then you could add filler, but you don't need to. There's no rule, unless you're doing painting in a painting class, and then your professor will instruct you how to use the paint. But other than that, just experiment with filler, without filler, more or less. Yeah, good evening, Athens, Greece. Thanks for joining. So I think I'm going to leave it at that point. I have some more packing to do. I'm leaving tomorrow at 6 in the morning, so it's not something that can be delayed. So right before I go, I will say that if you are interested in picking up a print, I am going to keep my store open. Yeah, hello, Jamaica. If you're interested in picking up a print of any of my paintings, I have 40 prints available over 40 prints available in my store. I'm going to keep my store open over Christmas, so over the holiday period. So please do check it out if you're interested. And there's a link in my bio. You can go to markliamsmith.com if you're interested in that. Other than that, I think I'm going to leave it there. The color journey. Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, once I drop the greens in here, it's going to make a little more sense. But yeah, it's going to be a bright one. Safe travels. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. Okay, so that is it. That's the last live stream of the year. Thank you all to the familiar names. I'm sure you all recognize each other's names now, for those of you who have been here for 10, 12, 15 paintings, at least all of these live streams. Thank you all so much to new people, but also and especially to those of you who just keep coming back. I really do appreciate all of your support in all of the ways that you do support me, from the prints to tapping the screen for the likes to the shares and so on. It really does mean a lot, and I don't say thank you enough. So thank you all. Have a wonderful year, and I will see you in 2022. All the best. Happy holidays, everyone.